What's up, fellas? In the second video of the day, we unfortunately are going to be talking about the Jamal Murray injury and, kind of the Denver Nuggets. Earlier today, if you're looking for kind of a, wow, the league is playing a lot of games, maybe they made a massive mistake type video, that was the first video of the day. This is going to be much more specific, not only to the Nuggets, but to actual basketball as well. We're going to be talking about how this impacts them and just kind of the general situation, around the Nuggets in the second video of the day. But really quickly, before we get started, if you enjoy content like this, then consider subscribing. I upload twice a day, every single day on this channel, so it's a great place for the most consistent NBA content on YouTube. If you're new here, by the way, what's up? My name is Tucker. You can also leave a like rating on the videos as well, and you can check me out at various socials in a Linktree link down in the description below. With those things said, let's talk about the Nuggets and the Jamal Murray injury. So this, man, I'm trying to recall since like the Derrick Rose injury, a significant season-ending, potentially year-long recovery process injury that was as devastating as this one, and kind of was felt really across the league and not just specific to that fan base. And I really couldn't think of one, outside of the Derrick Rose one, in between that and this Jamal Murray one. Maybe I'm just blanking, but I mean, we'll just go ahead and go there. So it's got to be incredibly difficult to be a member of the Denver Nuggets right now. And it's not just because you feel bad, for Jamal Murray and you know that how much work he puts in and how good of a player he is, and it sucks that he tore his ACL. But just think about this on a human level for a second, not on a basketball level, okay? It's obviously a tough season, right? The circumstances of this year are not ideal in any way, in or outside of professional basketball, right? But if you're the Nuggets, you had a weird start to the year. Michael Porter Jr. is barely playing in some of these games because of the protocol stuff. When you go to when you go to away games, you can't even leave your hotel room. It's as professional as far as lives as a professional basketball player goes, it's about as not ideal as it gets, right? And you're fighting through all that, and you find a way to start to come together as a team. You're playing better. You make this Aaron Gordon trade, and it's perfect. It's everything you could have wanted out of an Aaron Gordon trade was happening. They're like 8-1. They just recently lost their first game with Aaron Gordon, and it looks like these guys are true contenders. Like, you make the conference finals the year before, you go on this crazy run of the bubble, and then you start to really get it together. You're getting hot at the right time. Everything is looking up. As a player, as a fan, everything is just right there in front of you. And in a moment, you're not contenders anymore. On just like a purely emotional level, that's got to be so difficult to deal with, right? It would be difficult in any circumstance, right? Like, let's just say it's a normal season. You're 60, 65 games in, and your second best player tears his ACL, and instantly, if you're being honest with yourself, that you're not contenders anymore without Jamal Murray on the floor. But then when you add into that the slog that this season has been, how difficult it's been to get through all of this stuff, and to get everything going at the right time, and then to have kind of the rug pulled out from under you has got to honestly be a pretty sickening feeling, given, again, just the very, very tough circumstances of the season at this point. And I think that's got to be a very difficult thing to overcome. And so apart from specifically the injury to Jamal Murray, but its impact on the team as a whole from a basketball perspective, emotionally, that has got to be an incredibly difficult thing to overcome. Now, with that said, how does this impact the team, the roster, things like that? In my opinion, some people tried to push back on this yesterday on Twitter. I don't see how in the world Denver is a contender without Jamal Murray healthy. Unless Nikola Jokic is the literal GOAT, I don't understand how they're supposed to be legitimate title contenders, which I think they were when Jamal Murray was healthy. I understand that, Monty Morris has his own little fan club, and he should. He's a good role-playing point guard. He's different. We don't have a lot of guys like him around the league anymore that are bench point guards that can come off the bench and run a team. He can play on or off the ball, but primarily, he can be running ball screens and things like that. And he is like an actual conductor of the team off the bench. It's very, very, very rare to do that, and not from like an all-around scoring perspective, but literally like facilitating for other players. So Monty Morris is a good player, but he's obviously not even close to being on the all-star level that Jamal Murray is and was. And I mean, the drop off between that, and then I know that you have other guys you can bring off the bench and take Monty Morris, or you can bring off the bench in Monty Morris's role. Monty Morris starts, but their backcourt is completely different now. They went from Gary Harris and Jamal Murray to Monty Morris and Will Barton. No disrespect to Will Barton, and it's just all around an unfortunate situation because it's what? It's April. It's April 14th, and Jamal Murray tears his ACL, or I guess yesterday or 2 days ago. So it's mid-April, and Jamal Murray tears his ACL. Depending on whatever the recovery process of that is, it's going to go into next season as well. And you just made this Aaron Gordon trade that, again, was going perfectly. You gave up future assets to go and make a run at this thing as well as moving forward because he is on a multi-year deal. And everything about the Nuggets over the next year has been completely flipped on its head, and it's not like we need to start having an obituary for Jamal Murray's career or anything here, right? Like, he is still going to be able to be a good player ideally when he comes back. I mean, Zach LaVine tore his ACL as a very, very young player and has become one of the better young guards in the entire league, and there's no reason Jamal Murray can't do the same thing, especially for a guy that doesn't rely as much on athleticism as younger Zach LaVine did. But specific to the Nuggets, I hate to be kind of all down in the dumps about this, but their season, for all intents and purposes, is over. They're going to push through, and they're going to try and do what they can in the postseason and make a run and do something, but there's just no realistic way you can convince me that they are a threat to, the Lakers, the Clippers, the Jazz, the Suns, any of the top teams in the West that they were ordinarily going to be competing against. They're still going to put up a fight, in the first round of whoever they play with in the postseason. I wouldn't be surprised to see them win a round or two. But in terms of being a legitimate contender, I don't see that happening anymore for Denver. And it's unfortunate because not only is it a team that was on a roll, not only is it a team that made a great move for Aaron Gordon, but it's also a team that is A, fun to watch, and B, one of the only truly unique offensive teams we have in the league. Increasingly, the NBA has gone towards a model where everybody kind of copies each other, and everybody has gone towards this 5-out, 4-out, shoot lots of threes, have guys roll to the rim, ball screen offense. And it's always a refreshing thing to put on a Nuggets game and see something different. See Jokic operating in the high post, see Jokic operating out of the post, some ball screen stuff, the incredible passing he brings to the table. The combination of him and Jamal Murray was one of the better ball screen combinations in the entire league when they did decide to go to that kind of offense, but there was so much more variance and variability, and there was just something different about watching them play in comparison to 95% of the league that just made them so much more fun. And they're still going to operate in that same way, but it's just not going to be the same without the perimeter how do you say dynamicism? That's not the right way to say that at all. Dynamic of Jamal Murray. And it's just, the only way I can say it, man, is it's just really, really unfortunate. And we can just hope for Jamal Murray to come back fully healthy, a year from now or something like that, maybe even longer than that, because he is a good young player. And this Nuggets team, the sky's not completely falling. It's not like everybody on their roster is 30 years old. They've still got plenty of youth. And the one guy here that really is going to have the biggest opportunity is Michael Porter Jr. I think that was the one counter to me saying they're not going to be contenders, is people going to say, well, without Jamal Murray there, Michael Porter Jr. is going to go off and he's going to be crazy, crazy good. And maybe you're right, but he's just not as seasoned of a player as Jamal Murray. He's not going to be as good in the postseason. And you went from having Michael Porter Jr. as a luxury to having him as a necessity. And when it comes to competing in individual playoff series, that's obviously a negative in comparison to just having Jamal Murray healthy. Now, maybe in the long term, you can make an argument, hey, this is all MPJ needed. He needed to be the guy for a couple of months. It's going to be great for his development. Jamal Murray comes back and there's their legitimate big three. And maybe you're right. And maybe if you want to be the optimistic Nuggets fan, then that's the takeaway here, right? Is that it allows Michael Porter Jr. to step up. Not only allows, it forces Michael Porter Jr. to step up. And I hope that's the case. I hope he's awesome and they make a great run in the postseason, and it's great for his development because he is clearly kind of the piece for this Nuggets group. We always talked about this with the Grizzlies yesterday. We always talk about ceiling raising pieces. He is the ultimate ceiling raising piece for Denver, for any team that he would have been on. And so ultimately, maybe that's the outcome of this. Is it's unfortunate that in a season that they fought so hard to get to where they are, they're instantly not contenders as a result of one injury. But I mean, the Jokic MVP case probably gets stronger if they continue to play really, really well. He's going to win the MVP. And then Michael Porter Jr., we could look back 5 years from now and say, man, Michael Porter Jr. never would have became what he became if Jamal Murray didn't get hurt. Now, that's some Corzemba level what if stuff right there, but that's kind of the way that fans think sometimes. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying that that's a bad way to think about it at all. And honestly, I kind of hope that's the way it goes down. I just don't know how confident I am that will be the case. But ultimately, you guys can let me know down in the comment section below what you think about the Jamal Murray injury, what you think about the Nuggets moving forward, maybe if you have any, Monty Morris thoughts potentially you want to share with me. All those things. It's just unfortunate. It really sucks. And I'm going to try and bring some positive content to the channel tomorrow because both of these videos today have been kind of down the dumps. So yeah, but with all those things said, that is going to be the end of the second video of the day. And I thank you guys very much for watching. Again, as a reminder, if you clicked on this video thinking I was going to be talking about, oh my gosh, the sky is falling, the NBA made these guys play way too many games, that video, or at least a concept of that video, is the first one of the day if you want to check that out. Check out more videos from me at the box on the screen as well as on the channel as a whole. You can leave a like rating on the video if you enjoyed it, and you can check me out at various socials and a Linktree link down in the description below. With all those things said, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.